can I just say one thing firstly? I love the name Eat Sleep Boxing Repeat.
Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. Delighted to be joined by Danny. We are in final prediction mode, but before we get into it, please do hit that subscribe button on the channel if you're not doing so already. All of your boxing needs under one roof. Content coming at you on a daily basis. But we are here for final predictions, as I mentioned, for the Usyk Dubois undercard fight between Lawrence Okolie and Kevin Lerena on Saturday, 19th of July at Wembley Stadium. Looking forward to this one, Danny. Okolie obviously pretty destructive on his heavyweight debut a few months back. This is second fight, a big step up against Kevin Lerena, I would say. Yeah, from his former opponent at heavyweight. But yes, take it away, Danny. And what is your final prediction for Okolie Lerena?
Yeah, thanks, Paul. I'm really looking forward to this fight too. As you say, this is a significant step up for Lawrence Okolie. His first fight, a one-round blowout of Hussein Mohammed, who, an unheralded heavyweight, never beat anyone of note, had fell short in his only meaningful fight in a few rounds. I think Kevin Lerena, a much stiffer test in my opinion, caused Justice Huni all sorts of problems. We've seen how well that performance has gone on to edge with how the Justice Huni dominated Fabio Wardley from essentially start to finish before being stopped. Also was on the brink of stopping Daniel Dubois, as we all know. Imagine how different the heavyweight landscape would look if he managed to pull that one off. In saying that, despite I think Kevin Ray will have early success here. I think his speed, being a southpaw, he'll have advantages over Lawrence Okolie. Ultimately, I do fancy Lawrence Okolie to get the stoppage somewhere around the halfway mark, maybe slightly later than that. Heard very good things about Lawrence Okolie. Obviously, I live in Manchester. He's training in Manchester now at Joe Gallagher's gym. From what I'm hearing, he's going to come in a lot lighter than the 275 or 280 or whatever it was he came in for his heavyweight debut. If he had came in that shape, I think I'd pick Kevin Lerena to beat him. However, from what I'm hearing, it'll be a good deal lighter than that. I've always been a believer in Lawrence Okolie's power. It looks to have translated up to heavyweight. Kevin Lerena, for the ability he has shown he can be hurt and he has shown he can be stopped. And I fancy Lawrence Okolie to do that somewhere around 6, 7 rounds.
Yeah, nice one, mate. Great assessment. I think there's a few interesting points you make there. I think, yeah, the weight factor you mentioned there. Obviously, Okolie was huge, but in a way, he could afford to be because there was, with all due respect, nobody really in front of him posing a threat. We all knew how that fight was going to go. Maybe not as quick as it did, but we all knew that Lawrence Okolie was going to win that, and likely by early stoppage, which he did. I think, yeah, I'd like to see him. He need to lose at least a stone or two for me, like, because he was, obviously these heavyweights. He's obviously a heavy set guy, but he was a little too heavy for me. So, yeah, it's interesting what you say, that Kevin Lerena and Dubois one. Like, I think if people you remember, obviously people were labeling Dubois a quitter before, and then like he was on the verge potentially on that fight as well. What, dropped three times in the opening round, and you kind of thought, does he want to know here? Obviously, down in the gum shield, got the stoppage himself. What, two rounds later? And as you said, how different the heavyweight landscape could have been if Dubois had been stopped in that opening round by Lerena. But yes, I think Lerena is showing you can. He is beatable, especially by a big puncher, someone like Lawrence Okolie, who clearly is a big puncher. I think he gets the stoppage here as well. Again, kind of echoing what you've said there. I think Lerena is definitely game. He's definitely dangerous. Okolie will have to have his wits about him. But I don't really see anything other than a Lawrence Okolie stoppage here. And yeah, it's kind of interesting, and I almost want to see a Lawrence Okolie stoppage because I still think there are some quite big fights out there for him up at heavyweight. Um, so yeah, it's an intriguing matchup. I think it is a good step up for Okolie. It's probably the right opponent at the right time. Win this and win it in style, then yeah, you're throwing Lawrence Okolie's name into the hat for some big heavyweight fights, both domestically and internationally. So yeah, I'm in agreement with you, mate. In terms of time of the stoppage, yeah, I mean, probably mid rounds. I maybe even go a little earlier than you. Maybe round four, round five is maybe where I see this fight being won for Lawrence Okolie inside the distance. So yeah, we're both in agreement with an Okolie stoppage, but Kevin Lerena certainly game. Just before we round off, I know we're talking if buts and maybes here, but say Okolie wins, looks good doing so. He's in better shape. He gets the stoppage. He looks heavy-handed. Do you see a world in which Lawrence Okolie wins a world heavyweight title?
Potentially, obviously, it's inevitable that the majority of the belts are going to fragment sooner or later with another undisputed fight coming up, of course, on the same card. Lawrence Okolie is capable of winning a world title. It all depends about who's standing in the opposite corner at that time. I think Ajit Kabayel's got the interim WBC title, and that's the route Okolie seems to be going down. I think they were actually earmarked for fighting each other. I think that's a difficult fight for him. Kabayel's obviously proven himself to be top five heavyweight at a minimum. So it's very hard to say, when people ask, oh, can they become a world champion? We've seen some very average fighters become world champions over the years. It wasn't too long ago Charles Martin was an IBF heavyweight world champion. So you can never say no categorically. Do I see Lawrence Okolie becoming the world's #1 heavyweight? No, I don't. But I can definitely see a world in which the landscape unfolds in a way that allows him to pick up a title, definitely.
Yeah, can't disagree. I think it all depends on what happens in the Usyk Dubois rematch and what happens in the aftermath of that, whether the belts will fragment completely, whether they'll still continue to be tied up with the winner of the rematch between Dubois. Obviously, the likelihood of maybe a Tyson Fury or someone coming back in 2026, as we're hearing rumors of. Yeah, it's an interesting one, but I think definitely against the right opponent, you can't sit here and say that he won't become world champion. Been far worse world heavyweight champions in the past. And yeah, he's heavy-handed as well, so that's half the battle, I suppose, for a heavyweight. If Lawrence Okolie lands flush in your chin, the likelihood is you're going over, no matter who you are. So yeah, can't really disagree, mate. But first, he does have to, of course, get through Kevin Lerena on the Saturday night here. On the Usyk Dubois 2 undercard at Wembley. Guys, let us know in the comments your thoughts, whether you agree with Danny and I as to whether Okolie will win by a stoppage. Could he come unstuck here, and whether or not he goes on to become world heavyweight champion? Let us know in the comments. Hit the like button, and if you're not doing so already, hit that subscribe button to the channel too. Danny, pleasure as always, mate, and I'll speak to you again soon.
Thanks, Paul. Cheers, folks.